Let's do H1Bs and the Ingram interview because she did make a lot of news with him. So you mentioned the Chinese students. Take a look at this, SOT 3.
You've said as many as 600,000 Chinese students could come to the United States. Why, sir, is that a pro-MAGA position when so many American kids want to go to school and there are places not for them and these universities are getting rich off Chinese money?
Sure. Never said about China, but we do have a lot of people coming in from China. We always have. China and other countries. We also have a massive system of colleges and universities. And if we were to cut that in half, which perhaps makes some people happy, you would have half the colleges in the United States go out of business.
So what?
Well, I think that's a big deal.
I love this part of Trump having to like see the monster that he's like. I wouldn't say he's created it, but he's definitely latched onto it and amplified it. And now he's realizing, shit, we need foreign talent well, I mean, he's not really building dick up here, but we do need foreign talent to sustain our market. And we should absolutely be funding programs to train American workers. Good thing a lot of these visas do help with that. But now the hyper-isolationist, like, xenophobic, half MAGA, they're kind of right-wing populist now, is like, hold on, why don't we just hire more American? And Trump's like, that doesn't exist right now. Like, we need to train people.
Deal. But you would have, as you know, historically, black colleges and universities would all be out of business. You would have a system of colleges and universities.
So we're dependent on China to keep our university system going?
But I think it's good to have. I actually think it's good to have outside countries.
Yes.
Look, I want to be able.
It's good to be the destination the world wants to come to do business, to get educated, because we retain a lot of those people that say, you know what, I'm not going back to China. I want to work and build in the U.S. And that is a huge benefit. That creates jobs for Americans. Like, sorry, brain draining the world is fucking awesome. Not for the rest of the world, for us. Christ.
To get along with the world. And it's not that I want them, but I view it as a business. You don't want to cut half of...
He's got to cover. I don't want these goddamn foreigners coming to our country, but we need them because it's like a business. Dude. Even with his own base, he's trying to have his cake and eat it too. Tough shit, brother. Oh my God.
The people, half of the students from all over the world that are coming into our country, destroy our entire university and college system. I don't want to do that.
I wouldn't lose any.
And don't forget, MAGA was my idea. MAGA was nobody else's idea. I know what MAGA wants better than anybody else.
Oh, no.
That is so Trump. He said that to me, too. After my interview with him in 23, he said, MAGA's not going to like that interview. And then I actually said back to him, MAGA will feel about it however you tell them to. You know, it's like if you telegraph you had a good interview, they'll like it. If you say it sucked, they'll go a different way. But that he clearly does believe that. Like, MAGA will do whatever he says.
I think there are two areas where...
How do they say all this shit and they're like, yep, that's our guy?
He is vulnerable to his own base. And it's because their love and attachment to him is based on these two things. It's the fighting of China and the American elites that support them, like our university system, and then the immigration front. And he does not have a lot of wiggle room there. It's funny.
Sorry, it's immigration and the economy, but now it's just the economy.
Yeah. He asked me once on one of his shows, what's the correct number of Chinese or foreign students we should have in American universities? And my answer was 0.
Yes.
0.
Why?
I'm with you.
Like,
Batya for president.
0. Every one of those spots should go to a black kid or a kid from Appalachia. It is such an absolute chutzpah to be given.
Are they reinventing DEI? What is happening?
The greatest privilege in American education to our enemies and not going and recruiting that talent here at home. And it's the exact same thing with the H1B visas. Donald Trump was not elected because he tweets mean things. He was elected to put Americans first. And that is what it looks like. It says, you know what, if you're a university that, by the way, is spouting anti-American rhetoric day in and day out, teaching young people both on the right and the left to hate America and hate the values this nation was founded on. And you're only able to stay in business because of Chinese Communist Party apparatchiks flooding our...
They're like 18-year-old students that are trying to come to the U.S. for a better life. What? You know we retain a lot of these people, right? What? Holy shit.
System. Go out of business. This would be so great for America. All of those billions of dollars that the taxpayer gives to higher ed, we'll give it to vocational training. Let's start building, training centers in AI in the South and in the Midwest. And let's give Americans a fair shot at the American dream. That is why Donald Trump was elected. And so to see him now, honestly, I think this is actually about tariffs. I think that he realized in the fight with Xi Jinping that this was a huge bargaining chip for Xi, that Xi would actually back to get a deal with China. This is extremely important for reshoring manufacturing. And if this is what Xi wants, he's willing to give it to him. But I do think that clips like that just make the base feel like this is not what I voted for.
Definitely not. All right. The H1B visas, which are typically...
Oh my god. Okay, what are they going to say about H1B? Because your boy actually read all the law around H1B visas, okay? I know what the fuck is up around H1B visas. It's a hyper-specific issue that entered the news cycle. It came and went. By the time I finished my video, it had been out for like a week of the news cycle. But I know about H1B visas, so let's see what they have to say.
Given, the vast majority of them are given to people from India, and they come and they work in tech for the most part, which is why people
Both true.
like Elon Musk very much support them. Elon says he came on an H-1B visa initially and that it helped him, but a couple of examples of how those visas are typically given. Software engineers, IT specialists,
Yep.
scientists, researchers, accountants.
People we have a shortage of. That's what H-1B is for. It's a supplement for the American workforce that doesn't exist, that the fees from getting an H-1B visa go towards training American workers.
Architects, engineers, medical professionals, and so on have to be like specialized. That's generally how you get one. You have like special skills. That's what they say. Then you can get an H-1B visa to come over to the United States and work here. And there is a real debate between especially the techies and the Trumpies on whether these are good. So Laura asked him about the H-1B visas. Here's how that went.
There's never going to be a country like what we have right now.
And does that
the
mean
Republicans have to talk about it?
And does that mean the H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration? Because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of...
You want to know a stipulation about H-1B visas that's very prevalent here? In order to prevent this thing that Laura Ingraham is worried about, H-1B workers cannot be hired within the firing of a American worker 3 months before, or an American worker in a similar position cannot be fired 3 months after an H-1B visa holder has entered. Also, people on H-1B visas have to be paid at least what an American in a comparable position is paid. And they have to be given a comparable amount of hours and working conditions. Okay? All of this shit has been thought of. All right? All these protections are built into an H-1B visa.
But you also do have to bring in talent. When
we
a
have
country
plenty of talented people
no,
here.
you don't. No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here?
No, you don't have certain talents, and
I love how crass he is, because it sounds rough, and it does hit on a problem that we're having in the U.S. of qualified workers. But the solution isn't force. So there's a lag, right? So we should absolutely be spending on American workers and training programs and partnering with companies to train people. But we can't just magically create the qualification out of nowhere. It does take time.
People have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment, like an unemployment line, and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles.
What is objectively false about that statement? I cannot believe I'm siding with Trump on this. But like there will be a post-Trump world, and the continuation of his legacy is this. And even if Trump realizes, oh shit, we do actually need like people from other countries to supplement our workforce, then the monster he's created still isn't going to get that.
Does he have a point, or how do you see it?
Just so bad. This is exactly what Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy were saying at that big blow up over Christmas, where they were saying, I'm sorry, we just don't have the talent here. It's such a slap in the face to the American worker.
It's not saying we don't have talented people here. It's saying that we don't have people trained in these specific fields. We should be training people. We should be spending a ton of money training people and partnering with companies. But as it stands today, we don't have enough trained workers. That's the verbiage you should use. Trained workers for these positions.
Train them, train everyone. The H1B visa holders who come in here, they are not specialized. They have no talent. You know what their talent is, Megan? They're willing to work for $50,000 a year. Exactly.
That would be fraud.
Driven down the wages in STEM, which means that our brightest kids are not going into STEM, because what are you going to do? Like graduate after 4 years with student loans and take a job where you're making $50K? You're not going to do that. So we're actually driving our brilliant Americans out of STEM because we're importing Indians to do those jobs. It is so atrocious and terrible, and it is such a betrayal of the American worker. And this is a fight we absolutely have to have right now, because Trump has done an amazing job of attracting, I think the number at this point is about $15 trillion in manufacturing here, and everything around that. So much of that is going to be AI training and AI work, and we need to insist that every one of those jobs goes to an American. You know, again, like people ask me a lot, what is the correct number of immigrants into America right now? And my answer is kind of the same, Megan. It's somewhere close to zero. Like, it might not be zero. There maybe is another Elon Musk out there who really wants to come here. But right now, we're just bringing in, bargain basement programmers.
We have a shortage of programmers. Like, it's not easy, and it's not guaranteed to hire someone via H1B. It's easier to hire an American, and you have to show that you try to hire American to use H1B visas, and it's a lottery system, so none of it's even fucking guaranteed.
When those could be middle-class jobs for American workers, Americans who are struggling right now. Why are so many people on food stamps? Why?
Because of COVID. And because real wage growth has not matched real price growth.
Why is healthcare so expensive? I mean, these are the questions we have to be having, and the affordability question is totally inseparable from this question of immigration. The fact that we have so many immigrants in this country is a huge reason why Americans make so little and are struggling with basics like food.
What?
Think about it, Megan. Every illegal immigrant in America is either working, meaning they're driving down the wages in that industry, or they're living off the government, meaning the American taxpayer is subsidizing them. There's no in between, right?
Source? Hello?
Right? They're not being funded by somebody in their home country to live here in America. Both of those options are utterly unacceptable, which is why in every single poll, the vast majority of Americans, 56%, okay, a solid majority, supports deporting every single illegal immigrant. And it seems now like what the Trump administration is saying is, okay,
no, that is not what the polling says. The polling says should deport every single illegal immigrant. that has committed a crime on top of the crime of immigrating illegally, all right?
Counteract the deportation program with expanding the legal immigrants program. Kristi Noem this morning said that they're
Oh, I
you
have that.
Let's
Hold
play
on.
that.
I'll play it. Kristi Noem went on Fox and Friends this morning and said this. Sot 2.
What is the administration's position on these visas?
No, we're going to keep using our visa programs. We're just going to make sure that they have integrity, that we're actually doing the vetting of the individuals who come into this country, that they want to be here for the right reasons, that they're not supporters of terrorists and organizations that hate America. And that's what I think is so remarkable is under the Trump administration, we've sped up our process and added integrity to the visa programs, to green cards, to all of that. But also more people are becoming naturalized under this administration than ever before. More people are becoming citizens because we're not just streamlining and building some processes back into our immigration policies. We're also...
Bro, you are just doing slapshot. Like, we using the Kavanaugh ruling to just deport whoever the fuck you want without even coordinating with the president. All right, what it's like living with a homophobic deaf cat. What? I saw this video pop up. Okay. It's a nice little cleanse.
So making sure that these individuals that are coming into our country and get that privilege, that they actually are here for the right reasons.
That was in defense of H1B visas, saying, you know, we're coming, but we're getting the best. We're not getting people who hate America anymore. And then that's the second point about more becoming naturalized. I was like, oh, she thinks she's on CNN. That's...
Bro, what do you want? Like, what is the ideal world of either of these two people? Is it just no one from anywhere, or like just stop people coming in altogether? Like I don't understand. Like, it seems like H1B is like the ideal immigrant. First of all, it's a non-immigration visa, so it's just someone working here. All right, they're getting taxed. They're creating like corporate tax, income tax, and then they don't immigrate in the end. Like, what? What do you want? And then the people that do immigrate, are we getting talented people from around the world that we have a shortage? Like, I can understand the sentiment of, hey, let's spend more on training American workers, but then they don't spend more. Like,
that is definitely not.
They try and bring back manufacturing jobs that realistically are kind of gone. Like, some manufacturing in the U.S., absolutely, but you have to actually start these training programs. It's like the mental health argument for guns. Like, true, I agree. There's a mental health crisis, and that's probably making gun violence a lot worse. What's the prescription on mental health then? Oh yeah, fuck you, we're taking away Medicaid. Oh, okay, yeah, cool, thanks.
What the Fox viewers want to hear.
It's funny because, you know, Trump won because he cobbled together an unbelievably diverse coalition. He brought in record numbers of Jewish Americans and Black Americans and Hispanic Americans into the Republican Party, and also these sort of tech bro oligarchs. And the thing that the tech bro oligarchs want is access to cheap labor, because of course they are, you know,
they want these visas.
Exactly. They want these visas. They want a limit. Elon Musk said, "This is the hill I will die on. You can go F yourself in the face face if you're, this is literally what he tweeted, if you're going to fight me on this. Now, people like that who are very, very, very wealthy and want this like limitless stream of low wage labor, their problem is very symbolic. They really don't like seeing people like Mahmoud Khalil, a person who got the greatest privilege on earth, an American green card, and used it to attack America and to support Hamas and support terrorism. You know, they don't like that. Of course, I obviously don't like that either. But that is not the number one problem we're facing with mass immigration. The number one problem we're facing is that
Is programmers?
people who are not our neighbors are being subsidized by our poor neighbors' taxpayer dollars.
What? Oh. What is the logic on that one? The H1B worker has to fund a lot of it themselves, and the fees and shit, the company pays for a lot of them. What tax dollars are... What?
To live here, to live in homes so that there's a housing crisis, to work in their industries and drive down the wages, and to basically immiserate the working class. They're being forced to pay for their competition, their replacements in the labor force. So in the 70s,
Yeah, because it's not like a one here or there. It'd be one thing if they really were bringing specialized people, but it's like hundreds of these visas for like one tech company, all from India, all low wage. If they're so special, why aren't they getting higher wage, right? Like if they actually have special skills that we can't get here, you would
Isn't the average wage for H1B like $100,000?
imagine they would get the top of the pay scale, not the bottom.
yeah, it's like about 500,000 of them over.
Sorry. The average H1B salary in the United States is probably $167,000. Where are you getting these numbers?
Remember the exact period of time, but already when you're talking about 500,000 people, it's not specialized, right? It's an entire wage sector. It's an entire sector of the economy. So you have illegals competing with working class people. You now have the H1Bs competing with what would have been middle class jobs. Of course,
Okay, it's $65,000 per year. The total H1B, right? Yeah. Okay, and then there's an exemption for like highly specialized. How many H1B in USA? Okay, 730,000. That's a lot.
$50,000 a year now is not a middle class job anymore, right? So you're just dragging everybody.
Where are they
down
getting
with
this 50,000
So back in the
number?
70s, which was the high watermark for working class wages, where they could afford, you know, the American dream on a single income, buy a home, etc., the kind of ideal that we look back to, the percentage of Americans living on American soil, people living on American soil who were not born here was 4%. It was a historic low. Today, Megan, it's 15 or 16%. It's never been this high in American history.
Wow.
That is why young people can't afford to buy homes. That is why people can't afford health care. That is why 42 million people are on food stamps, because they can't.
Bro, not every issue in the fucking world is because of immigrants. Be so fucking real here.
Cannot command the wages that would give them a middle class standard of living, because they are competing with 16% of the people here who were not born in the United States. That's the number one problem for the working class, and that should be the number one issue for Republicans going forward.
It was, and you lost on it. Now people are worried about the economy, and they know it's not immigrants that are the problem. You've tried. And when after all these deportations and people's wages and people's prices still suck, they're going to look for someone else to blame. And they're probably going to look at tariffs. And all this shit that Trump's doing. And all this weird spending and all these fake deals and just all of this, don't believe your eyes, just close your eyes and believe what I have to tell you. Dude, the fucking, what is the, I don't know, it's the fucking rabbit with the clock.
Wow. Here is the Mike Cernovich tweet. Trump broke everyone's heart with this line about the American workforce and H-1Bs, suggesting we don't have workers who can do it.
We don't. Not at the moment. We have workers who are able to be trained, but as it stands today, the training programs do not exist or have not been utilized. This isn't an insult to the capabilities of the American worker. The American worker is some of the most capable people on the planet. It's an indictment of our companies and our federal government for not training people to adapt to our changing economy. That is a failure of the government and of companies. And that's something we can change. We can incentivize training programs. But as it stands today, we still need these companies to make shit, to pay their corporate taxes, so that we can fund our governments and our programs. Like, people want to work. Okay? That's why we need paths to train people for a changing economy. Not just promising them the economy of yesterday. Like, oh my God, it's so chungus.